All right, so it's always important to understand what kind of data are we working with, what kind of units are we expecting. So we talked about ages of 20 presidents in the US at the time of inauguration. So you've got a bunch of numbers, so these are the ages, okay, understand that. And this is not a frequency table, this is just a list of values, okay? Just understand that. Determine the mean, standard deviation, and range of this set. So obviously just one variable stats. In this case, it's just L1. And range, we're going to figure that out in a bit. If you run this, I entered this already in my calculator. I put everything into L1. So I can actually just quickly go and run it. 5645. That's years, right? A standard deviation is 5.84. And the range, don't forget that, it's just max minus min. So you just subtract 68 minus 43. And you get 25. 25 years is the range. So half mark, actually, I would say it starts with the mean, okay? For sure, 1, and I'll just give you half for this. And why don't we give this a half as well? And then we'll just make this whole thing worth 2 marks. So if you got this wrong, go -1 right away, but then I'll still honor the rest. It probably means that you entered one of the values incorrectly. That's probably what it means. And so 1 out of 2 there still. For this interval, I'm just going to cut to the chase, right? For this one, I would sort, and I would feed it L1 and sort my data before I do anything, before I enter these values into the frequency table. I tell you to use a width of 4, right? So you would just do this. Six, 56 to 60, 60 to 64, 64 to 68, and that should take care of it, right? And so my greatest is 68, so this takes care of that, right? This, I don't need to go further, okay? Tally. So I'm going to just fast forward to this. It'll be 1, 1. You've got 3 in here. You've got 3 in there. You've got 6 in there. 5 in there. And 1 there. So even if you don't have this right, just write down these numbers. 1, 1, 3, 3, 6, 5, and 1. And I see already, okay, I see this, the 64 up here. Let me just bring down 64. Where does it go? Which bracket does 64 go into? It's the lowest always. Okay, so you got to remember that. So if this is all filled out, if any of these values is wrong, just go -1/2, and then the rest will just let it go today. If these are wrong, then go -1/2 there. Let's make this one worth 2 as well, so that, right, we don't have another half just lingering there somewhere. If you forgot your units, make sure you have a U there somewhere, indicating that you didn't have the units there. And I'm a little easier on that. If you have another teacher, they may take off every time you do a rounding mistake on that page. You'll lose every time. Okay, so you gotta just learn to avoid those mistakes, okay? Next, you graph this thing, and obviously I would use my interval here. So I would start maybe here with 40, and then I will try, right? 44, 48. I can actually probably go two boxes at a time. 44, right? 48, 52, 56, and so forth. It's up to you how you want to do it. 64, and this is 68. So that's what I chose to do, and here you would go age in years. That's what that represents. That's what these numbers represent. and then here is number of presidents, right? If you put frequency, I'm okay with that today, but try to put some sort of additional label there. And I go as far as 6. That's all I do. So I'm just going to make every box count as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to label 5 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is good enough. That's giving me a good scale there. And make sure you have a zipper here, because you're going, one box is worth 40 here, and then all of a sudden every box is worth 2, right? So you got to watch out for that. It's inconsistency. So the zipper is something that I'll be looking for. Okay, zipper. I'll just give you the graph at this point. This is what it should look like if you did that correctly. This may be a little different. If your bars are only 1 wide, as long as they're all the same width, I'm fine with that. Yeah, go ahead, Raver. And so that's what it would look like. So 2 marks for this. If you missed labels, take off half for every label you're missing. If you forgot the zipper, take off half, right? That's what I would expect you to do today. And so 2 marks for that, okay? So what are we at in total for this page? Is 2, 4, 6. So this page is worth 6 marks if you did everything correctly. Okay? And then the back side. I already got it started a little bit. So definitely midpoints. These are fairly easy to do, but do you remember the formula? Right? You add them, hit equals, then divide by 2. Because it's going to happen. It's not going to happen now. It's going to happen on the exam, right? That's usually when it happens. You're going to be so excited. It's almost over. I'm finally done with Mr. Dirksen. It's 175, and you're going to get it wrong. It can't be. It has to be between these two, right? So you go 100 plus 150 divided by 2, right? So 125, 175, 225, and so forth. Yeah. Did you subtract? Anybody subtract? Yeah. So, right, if you go 100 minus 150, first of all, that's going to be negative divided by 2. Now your average in between is 25, right? So just try to think of it. You're trying to find an average. Okay. So what I do is I put this into L1. These are like, you got to imagine there's 170 customers that were anywhere between these amounts. So imagine 170 individual amounts that I gave you. Can you imagine that table, right? And then another 190. And you imagine you typing these in individually. You can't, in this case, we don't know what they are. Okay? So we're kind of trying to say, well, if it's between 100 and 150, I'm going to go with the middle, right? And so 170 customers spent about $125. That's what you're saying. 190 customers spent $175 on average. But it could be anywhere in between, correct? We're just going to make that call. We're going to take the middle. All right? So you put that into L1 for sure. This is going to be your x-axis on your graph. And this is going to be your frequency. So this is L2. So for finding the mean standard deviation and n for Megastore, it's going to be L1, L2. But I'm actually lying to you right now, because watch what I did. I keep the first page entries in L1. I put the midpoints into L2 and the actual customers into L3. So I have to go L2, L3 to get this right. Okay, but it's not a big deal. You just have to remember, where do you put the information? Okay, so there it is. 194. Did I get that right? Yes, that's always a good day when things match, right? So what are these? These are dollar amounts, right? So you put in 170 customers spending 125 bucks. So forth. So these are all dollars. Standard deviation is 7409. And the number of customers would be 520. It should be 520, not 5, or what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it's 6, it's wrong, right? We'll go -1. right off the bat if this is 6. So let me do this. If you did the midpoints, I will give you a mark. You're going to get a mark for that for sure. Then for finding the mean and standard deviation, I give you 2 marks for each correct entry, right? So this would be L1, L3 in a sense. Okay, so I'm going to go stat calc, one variable. I'm going to go L2, L4. Because remember, I put L2, L3, L4 for this question. That's what I used. And there it is, 268.75. So what do we know right off the bat there? That on average, customers spend more at Savers, okay? What's the standard deviation? 95.69, okay, dollars. And in this case, 640 customers were considered here to come up with that information, okay? So if you forgot, if this is 6, we'll take off, today we'll take off -1 right here, but I will not take off again here because you already made the mistake twice. Just make sure you highlight this, knowing that this is wrong, okay? What's the significance meaning of n in the chart above? It represents the number of customers or purchases. I'm fine with either one, right? Because it could be the same customer coming in several times that one day. Like when there's a sale and there's a limit of 4, you're all smiling, right? You've all done it. I've done it. I go 4, buy 4, and then I go again, self-checkout, another 4, and I'm smiling, right? Anyways, interpret the results in A. Write a few sentences describing what it tells us. Be specific and use stats terms, okay? So this is what it really comes down to. You pick the store you want to focus on. If you want to talk about Megastore, start with the mean and then talk about the standard deviation. Like how does the mean compare to the other store? How does the standard deviation compare to the other store? So I'll say this. I'll just say this. Hold on. Let me take this back. On average, customers spend less at Megastore. I know this because of the lower lower mean. Done, right? You've talked about the fact that you noticed that customers spend less there. When it comes to the standard deviation, you can say that for Megastore, it's more consistent, a little bit more consistent than Savers, right? The spending amounts are closer to the average. The spending amounts in Megastore are more consistent I know this because of the lower standard deviation. If you just want to throw in the symbol in your statement, I'm okay with that. Okay. You can, so if you went a little bit further than that, that's just great. Write your heart out. But I basically give you 1 mark for making an observation on the mean and 1 for making an observation on what the standard deviation tells us. Okay, that's basically what it comes down to. Next. Yeah, I know, we're going to be tight on time. Graph frequency polygons for both stores using the same grid. Solid for Megastore, dashed for savers. Okay, so along the x-axis, guess what I'm going to use? You can use your midpoints. Nothing wrong with that. So you can go 125, and I'm going to use maybe 2 boxes in between, 175, 2 boxes in between. Can you see that? No, sorry. Right, I'm using the midpoints. 225, 2 boxes in between. I could have probably used more, bigger. I could have gone 3 boxes at a time. That's okay. You could have also used your the intervals that I gave you above. Like you could have gone from 100 to 150, 150 to 200. I'm fine with that, and then just pick a point in the middle in between. Okay. So what is this? Spending in dollars. Okay. And this is number of buyers, customers, purchases, exactly. I need to go all the way up to 600, sorry, not 600. What's the highest number? 199? 199, so I'm going to go 200. So I'm going to go 50, 100, 150, 200. Okay, that's how I'm going to, that's what I chose to do. It doesn't matter. As long as you're consistent, you know that by now. Zipper, right? Make sure you put a zipper in, and then you can do whatever you want after, okay? And then you just go 125, right? So for 125, let's do Megastore first. It's 170, somewhere in there. And then it's 190 for the next one. And then it's 50 for 225. Yikes. And then it's for 275, it's 30. So it should be somewhere down here. And then it's 57. And then it's 23. So this is 50, this is 25, so 23 is just under. So that's kind of what it looks like for Megastore, and it's solid line. So just make sure you close it. I want you to use a ruler. I'm just doing this for time purposes. That is what it's going to look like for Megastore, right? Solid. And then dashed for savers. So savers for 125, we're at 123 customers, so it'll be somewhere in there. And then 70, 70, right? So I'm going to go 70, this is 75, so 70 is just under 75. Another 70, and then 77, just a little over. 101, and then for 375 is almost 200. Okay, so you close it to where you close the other one. Oh yeah, dashed. Oh, dashing through the snow on the one horse. Oh, right, so you fix it like this. Watch. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. So you've got both on there. And you can tell that savers, there's more spending. Like this is why the average spending is lower. And Megastore, you've got more people spending less. That's why the average is lower. Okay? I'm tired just explaining this already. So why is this worth 4 marks? I'll give you 1 mark for scale, 1 mark for labels. Right? Scale, 1 mark for labels, and then 1 mark for line 1, and 1 mark for line 2. Okay, so that's where you get your your other 2 marks from. So if you forgot a zipper, take off half. If you've completely got your scale wrong, I would usually go -1. If you don't have that second line, -1, right, and so forth. Okay, so this backside is worth, hold on, it's a little messy, I know, but that's okay. Today it's about learning how to get better, right? So 1 for the midpoints, 4 for figuring out all of this, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8, and another 4, that's 12. So this page is worth 12. And then the front was worth 6, correct? So 12 and 6 gets us to 18. So cross out the 16 and make this out of 18. Make sure your name and last name is on there, and make sure you have some sort of mark on there. And this is what I'm going to say here.